that down there. Shall we see? Just keep following it past.
Can do for now, yeah.
There's another lake. Yeah, we got
So we have two craft beers to review today. Two pretty common beers that I'm quite familiar with. One in particular that I've had a number of times over the years actually, which is the organic raspberry beer from a company called Samuel Smith. Now Samuel Smith is a very old brewery, actually one of the oldest breweries in the UK. I believe it's over 100 years old, and it's based in Tadcaster, just outside of York. Not too far from York in Yorkshire. A famous brewery, and they actually brew in pits, like big stone cast pits, which is quite amazing actually, and I'll show a picture now to give you an idea, or at least an illustration of what actually they look like. And it's a very old, almost archaic method of fermenting different beers, and quite amazing, to be honest with you, especially when it comes to the carbonation levels. But yeah, a really cool company, and they've been doing organic beer and fruit beers for a number of years before all this craft beer really took off. They've always been kind of an outstanding brewery, in their own right, really, of Samuel Smith. And they're quite common in the UK that they own lots of different pubs, and the pubs that they do own, they actually own the buildings as well, rather than just renting these buildings They actually own the buildings, and they get their own landlords, and it's very efficient and very well done the way they go about things. They've got a lot of ethics when it comes to sort of beer and the prices of beer as well. And it's one of the places in Yorkshire where you'll find you will get your cheapest pint of beer. I mean, for a pint of really, really good quality Samuel Smith beer, so for example, they do one called Taddy Lager, and that goes for about £2 a pint. So absolutely one of the cheapest places you can get beer in the UK. And like I say, some of the beers are even cheaper, but when it comes to the organic stuff, you do pay a little bit more. There's a lot more thought and a lot more of a complex process that goes on. I like raspberry, and strawberry is a bit common for me, so it's nice to have a raspberry organic beer. And basically, it's not very carbonated, as you can see. There's not a lot of carbonation going on here. It's got some life in it. I mean, you can see the bubbles. There's certainly life in the glass, but it's just not overly carbonated, and it's almost like Robinson's fruit juice, but a beer. It goes down well too easily. The way it smells, it's got a very intense kind of raspberry, blackberry kind of scent, really. And it smells a bit like port. It's got like a, rather than a beer kind of smell, it's got like a port kind of smell, because it's really fruity. So yeah, really fruity beer. Like I say, the taste is almost like a port kind of taste. Like I say, really fruity. You've got a lot of black currant going on in there. Quite a nice bottle, actually. I bought this from a local farm. You can go to Tadcaster, and they've got a shop where the brewery is, and you can actually buy from the shop in Tadcaster. And you will find, you know, places like online where you can buy this beer, but to be honest with you, to experience Samuel Smith, you really have to go to the pubs, really. They tend to sort of keep most of their beers and stuff in the pubs, but they do sell to different companies and farms and places like that. I've noticed they've been selling a lot of different beers, from oatmeal beers to apricot beers. They've got a lot going on, which is what makes it quite interesting, really. They're always willing to experiment and try new things. But you find, you know, when it comes to lager and beers and real ales and Indian pale ales, you know, your IPAs, it's got kind of an old school vibe, certainly kind of almost like a landlord pint kind of vibe. Because like I say, they've been around for a very long time, of Samuel Smith, so they are obviously an old brewery. They're not like these trendy breweries like Brewdog and Northern Monk. They've got, you know, old school ethics, really, when it comes to brewing and fermenting. But like I say, a really, really cracking beer. And this, I think it's about £3.50 for a bottle. So this were a bit more, for them, that's upmarket actually. But like I say, still, I don't think it's a bad price. £3.50 for a nice organic raspberry beer like this. And like I say, it's a beautiful fruit beer. Really, really nice. Handcrafted as well. So yeah, pretty stunning. The next beer, and this is where it's at. So we have a one-off, really, because I've not actually seen this ever up until the last sort of week in Tesco and Morrison's. Morrison's have had quite a few cans of these, so I've seen it quite often in Morrison's in the last week. And this is the Vermont Sessions, a Session England IPA, which is quite new, because the New England IPAs generally are quite high in alcohol volume. This is more of a session, so it's brought down from 8% to 5.2, which is still fairly strong. But obviously, it being a session ale, they're bringing the ABV right down, which is the main thing. And this is Brewdog versus Northern Monk, which for me is an absolute dream, because they're my favourite two breweries in the whole of the UK. And there are a few breweries that are up and coming that I do like. Brew York's a new one. I think they're quite cool, and they do some really interesting milkshake IPAs. Badco, that's another one. There's just so many different ones, including Northern Brewing, but for me, the best brewery in the UK, without a shadow of a doubt at the moment, is Northern Monk. And Brewdog are just kind of the mainstream equivalent, really, because Brewdog started it all back in 2007. They were the first real craft beer company, brewery should I say, in the UK to really get craft beers to take off. So thanks to them, we've got these amazing beers now in the UK. You'd have to go to America to experience these cracking IPAs. So yeah, so we've got Brewdog versus Northern Monk, which is a New England IPA. It's not Cloudwater. I really want to try Cloudwater, but unfortunately that sells out in minutes. When that goes on sale, people really do take it off the shelves. But nonetheless, I do think this will be selling rather well. Like I said, the can itself is stunning. I really like the artwork. So yeah, 5.2%. So again, I have tried this beer before. It's extremely hazy when you pour it out the glass. We're talking real tropical flavours, like really, really good flavours when it comes to the hops that's involved in this can. I'm sure Chinook is one of the most common hops that you find in this beer, but real tropical fruit, you know, big pineapple, stone fruit, and a dash of coconut. I don't know about the coconut, but the pineapple and the tropical fruit and the stone fruit you can really taste in this. You can smell it as well. It's a really impressive beer, to be honest. It might be the best beer I've had in probably a year or two, because it's been a while since I've had a beer that's really blown me away. But I do think this is probably the best beer that I've had in at least a year or two. So let's get started. As you can see, really hazy, almost yellow. Plenty of carbonation. There's a 3-inch head there, at least. It's a decent head, plenty of carbonation, very hazy. As soon as you smell it, you just instantly, you've got tropical aromas going on, real tropical. I mean, as tropical as you can imagine. So if you can imagine tropical fruit, almost like a tropical fruit salad going on with all the flavours really coming out, along with some carbonation, you know, that is what you're experiencing just by smelling the head, really, where the carbonation comes up. That's where you want to really get the aroma, from the top of the glass where the carbonation's going on, where the gases are basically diffusing outwards. You're getting all the flavours and all the aromas, really, from this beautiful beer. So yes, stunning, really, really smooth on the palate. Really, really tropical, lots of flavours going on. But what I will say is, even though they brought down the ABV, you know, brought it right down from 7.88% all the way down to 5.2%. What surprises me the most is it's still very bitter. Like, it's still quite a satisfyingly bitter beer at the end of the palate. So as soon as you get through the tropical notes, so yeah, an absolute stunning beer. Absolutely the best beer I've had in at least a couple of years. And I'd put it against, you know, Clockwork Tangerine and Punk IPA and even Faith by Northern Monk. I think that's an incredible beer, and I hope they continue to make this. I really hope this isn't a one-off, and I really hope that in the future they continue to make it, because it's absolutely fantastic. So thank you for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed this little mini update for the channel. I'll be doing lots of walks in the future. I'm going to be doing some walks in the Yorkshire Dales soon, and I'll be going back to the East Coast, and I'm going to keep showing you these garden developments as well, because the garden's going to change a lot in the next 4 weeks. So yeah, I just hope you enjoy the channel, guys. Anyone that's subscribed, thank you. And if you enjoy it, please comment or like. Take care, guys.